What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Ghost of Tsushima's release date possibly being pushed back. Now, literally, it seems like everything happened in the gaming world today and yesterday. There's been more news in the past 2 days than I feel like has ever come at us, besides like E3, Gamescom. So, I do want to quickly just say tomorrow there's going to be a lot of news videos on my second channel, which I'll link in the description below. There'll be a lot of news videos we'll be covering. There's so much. I mean, SpongeBob got a release date. The PS5 has new news. All this kind of stuff. But one of the things that stood out to me the most, and it's the one I wanted to make the third video today. So this is the last video for podcast now today, and like I said, the rest will come tomorrow. But I wanted to make this the one because this lines up perfectly with what we talked about earlier today. If you guys have not checked it out, we talked earlier today about The Last of Us Part 2 seemingly being leaked on Amazon to be coming out June 26th. And I said, well, is that correct? What have I been saying for the past couple weeks, ever since The Last of Us Part 2 was delayed indefinitely? The first scenario is that it takes Ghost of Tsushima's release date, which is June 26th. We talked about in that video that June 26th is not a placeholder date. It's not the last day of a month of a quarter. So it cannot be, I mean, it's just generally not used as a placeholder date. It's also a Friday. Placeholder dates don't have, they could be any day of the week. So it's not that they couldn't be a Friday, but Friday obviously is the time that gaming can come out. And again, same day as Ghost of Tsushima, pretty odd that you would randomly have a placeholder day for that day. And again, the biggest argument is that June 26th is not June 30th, which would be a placeholder date. June 26th is not that. Now, what did we get today? PlayStation Canada. If you go on the PlayStation Store on Canada, or in Canada, or if you're on a Canada profile on PSN, that would also work, right? They have changed the release date. Ghost of Tsushima now says August 1st. So that is really, really big. I don't think people are really paying much attention to it, but I think that is easily the first sign. Now, could it be a mess up? Could it be a mistake? Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, right? Amazon France freaked out yesterday and just pushed the enter button that, every game that ever had released exclusively on PS4 is now coming to PC, including the PS5. They really freaked out. So it's not impossible that things can be made mistakes, right? It's not impossible that the PlayStation Store just had a mistake or there was an error there, but pretty odd that literally one day after Amazon says that Last of Us Part 2 is coming out June 26th, which doesn't make a lot of sense again by a placeholder, but it does make sense if you're moving it, again, 1 month to Ghost of Tsushima, and then the next day, all of a sudden, Ghost of Tsushima is coming out August 1st. Now, again, it hasn't been said, it's not been confirmed, but this could easily be step one. We could be just a little while out from them saying, hey, we have to push Ghost of Tsushima. In fact, with something like this, with the PlayStation Store saying it, I think it's only a matter of time. I really don't see them sitting on it for all that long. In fact, let me even use some of the stuff we've now heard over the last couple days. Like I've said, there's been a lot of news, and what you see is with these specific news stories, they don't stay as leaks or as smaller things for that long. Eventually, they pick up steam. And again, really, there's two big examples. SpongeBob is one of them. Last night, SpongeBob kind of leaked on the Xbox Live Store where it said June 23rd. It had a new trailer, it had new screenshots, but it was not confirmed to be coming out that day. It was just on their store. In fact, that's almost the exact same thing, right? 1 day ago, it appeared on the store. It set a release date, but that wasn't, it didn't have a release date. And then literally the next morning, THQ Nordique says, yep, that's the release date. Here's the pre-order. You can pre-order it on all these consoles. And there you go. So it literally took 1 day. You look at Crysis. Crysis has been building up for weeks now. We had the Crysis Remaster April Fool's joke, which then turned into, well, is it an April Fool's joke? Which then turned into, well, they're also actually hiring for an unannounced AAA game. Could that be a Crysis 4? To now, there's pretty much a website that I think you can still access as of right now about the Crysis Remaster, that it's coming this year, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and I think the Nintendo Switch. So that's, you look at that, and we're on April 16th, so it's been a 16-day period, but it looks like literally every single day we're just getting more and more news. Even Resident Evil, there was a week straight, last week, pretty much last week, every single day there was a new Resident Evil leak. I think it's only a matter of time till Capcom officially comes out and says it. So again, why am I saying all this? Well, things like this don't just, unless you're Warner Bros., like Warner Bros. Montreal, unless you're them, you you don't sit on anything, right? If something happens like this, that's a pretty big deal. If you're going to pre-order Ghost of Tsushima right now, which I haven't pre-ordered it yet. So if you're me and I'm in Canada, and I actually am a Canadian citizen, I'm a dual citizen of United States and Canada, but I live in America. If I wanted to go and I had a Canadian PSN and I wanted to go pre-order Ghost of Tsushima, I would see, oh, okay, I'm gonna lock that in for August 1st, and I'd be like, wait, what? So like, how long can that last there? I really don't think it can last all that long. And again, we talked about it. At this point, there's so much evidence, I feel like, to point to The Last of Us simply took Ghost of Tsushima's spot. Ghost of Tsushima simply moved back 2 months, which is what we said. I predicted late August. I mean, if this all happens the way it looks like, I'm going to be almost spot on, because it's literally what I said, only I said late August, not August 1st, which is fine. And actually, earlier, right in the Last of Us video today, I talked about how much are they willing to have distanced between each other. Clearly, they were willing to, because wasn't The Last of Us going to be like May 29th, and then Ghost of Tsushima was June 26th. So they were willing to have it just 4 weeks after. That was what they were willing to do. So under this, I think it would be 5 or 4 weeks and then a couple of days. So I think it would almost be the exact same thing they were going to do, just you move them all about 1 month, right? Or I guess, a little bit more than that. But that seems to be what it's going to be. Again, The Last of Us Part 2 being moved on Amazon. Again, you could say, well, Amazon had a really bad day yesterday, and yeah, they did. But at the same time, you just don't do something like that unless it's, I feel like, for a purpose. It's not a placeholder date. It's the date of Ghost of Tsushima. Why would you do that? And again, what I talked about weeks ago was why indefinitely. And I did say in the last video, a couple hours ago, there were better ways of doing this. I don't know why they couldn't have just come out in the beginning and said, hey, we're having a lot of problems with production, and I get it. They can't necessarily say that. Maybe that makes them look bad, but we know it's bad with the PS5. And again, we're going to talk about that. That will be tomorrow's first video. Things are pretty bad with the PS5 right now. There's production struggles. They can't really get it. It's going to be probably more than they want it to be. There's going to be less units available to people, and it's pretty much confirmed at this point. So that is an issue, and I get that they don't want to say that because maybe that makes them look bad. Maybe their stocks would take a hit. Whatever the reason may be. But again, for this example, I don't know what stopped them from saying, okay, this thing is going on around the world. We don't feel comfortable releasing it. And now that we've gotten some examples, look, Doom, Animal Crossing, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, these games, they sold really, really good digitally. Animal Crossing is the only one that sold better physically, did really, really good physically. The others actually did hurt. The physical sales did take a massive drop compared to the last game in the franchise. So, what happened around the world, it affected physical sales. They are not making as much physically, but they are actually, I believe, making more digitally, okay? Now, maybe it's not more to offset it, and then you could say, all right, well, The Last of Us Part 2, you know what? Maybe they did have a valid excuse, because if they're expecting a lot of people to buy this game physically, and then the game comes out, and we're still in this, which I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad, not even close, by the end of May, so I feel like they could have jumped the gun there, but again, they have to mass produce. They have to make these copies. They have to literally put the code onto the discs and ship them out, and that would be happening right around now. And so if they're going to have trouble doing that and they cannot get those physical copies out to places, then you're not going to be able to sell them. And if you can't sell them, it may happen where it would come out and it would say, it sold 2 million units in the first month or so physical, and it's like, ooh, that is quite a dip from the last time. So you know what I mean? I understand now. I feel like Sony probably knew, and I think they had to have, right? But still, why they didn't say, okay, we've had some problems, we're going to put Last of Us where Ghost of Tsushima is, and then we're putting Ghost of Tsushima to August. I don't know why they didn't do that in the very beginning, the very first thing. Again, that would have probably been the easiest thing, the most understanding thing. I think it would have just made the most sense. Instead, again, now you have The Last of Us is indefinite, got pulled from the PlayStation Store. People are freaking out, literally freaking out. Ghost of Tsushima is still in its spot, so now it's like, well, Ghost would come out in late June, but then The Last of Us is just literally removed from planet Earth, and then eventually you're just going to hear about The Last of Us Part 2, and they'll put that out. So it doesn't really, how it is now, didn't really make sense. The only thing that makes sense now, like we've said, the only thing I can wrap my mind around is that it's delayed indefinitely because they were holding off. I think I said this earlier. Maybe the plan was they would delay it a week or two, but then yet again, does that even make sense? Because why would you pull it from the PlayStation Store if it was only going to be a week or two? I don't know. Maybe they were waiting. Maybe they didn't want to to push Ghost of Tsushima. Ultimately, I think they still have a really, really good plan in place. Funny enough, and Heisenberg actually had said this in a past video. I remember he's a long time viewer, and I appreciate him and all of you guys watching. What's funny is, and he said it, is look how this all kind of would work out. If The Last of Us does come out in June, look how that lines up with the first Last of Us. I think it would come out I think the first one came out June 13th. Back in 2013, so that'd be pretty darn funny if it actually works out this way, that it gets its June spot, and late June works. We've had Crash games, we've had Batman games, lots of different, again, Last of Us, right, if we go back, lots of different games have really flourished in June, and then August is a really good time as well. August is when those games pick back up. I think it's going to work out. If this is how it goes, if The Last of Us is June 26th, Ghost of Tsushima is August 1st, I think that is really, really solid, honestly, and I think it starts to help out a little bit because we're starting to get a little bit more. Okay, SpongeBob's got the release date. Crisis, we know, is eventually coming. Little Hope, you can pre-order Little Hope. All those kind of things. It's looking good. It's honestly looking good, and I feel like this is just the next step with it being, on that store. And again, I really don't think it can last all that long. How long can it stay very visibly in the public eye? How long can it stay like that? Again, all the people that are pre-ordering it now, all the people that had pre-ordered it, and then they go and check it, and they say, wait, it's supposed to come out June 26th. Why does the store say August 1st? That's a pretty big mistake for a PlayStation store to make, and a pretty odd one, and especially even more odd, especially considering all of the stuff we've seen, leading up into it. Okay, so guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Ghost of Tsushima is releasing August 1st? Do you think all of this is kind of, in the background planned? Probably not necessarily the best, but planned. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up, and thank you so much for watching, guys. I truly appreciate it. It's been a fun couple days. Like I said, second channel's in the description. We're gonna have lots of news videos tomorrow here, and then also on the second channel I'll do some stuff. We'll try and wrap up all of the news stuff and do some fun videos to go along with them. Okay, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.